Alright folks, before we jump into this Q&A, I just want to address some things. These questions are in relation to the Discord roleplay server Olessia's Undoing. So if you're not a player on that server, I'm not sure why you're watching this video, but if you want to stick around, feel free. Anyone from there? Hi, how you doing? Anywho, let's jump into these questions. We got a blend of serious and kind of silly. And y'all get to watch me butcher some of these names. Also, be warned, rambling will occur. How much is known about the undead? Only rumors are ever spoken of Savalion these days. Many hardly believe the wild tales of the undead from the survivors, but most understand dark magic itself has cursed the dead nation. But there are very few willing to brave the trip into the old nation to learn the truth. Not to mention, anyone who enters doesn't really come back as much. With tensions rising in each respective nation, is war likely to break out? Okay, so of the growing shitstorm that is around us at the moment, let's see, I can kind of narrow down a few things. Carowin at the moment has a lot of tribal issues, and they're trying to kind of make sure that the berserkers are not going to steamroll the crap out of everything. Oh, and they're kind of going through a really hard winter, north and everything. Erdian and Italia, on the other hand, oh yeah, that pot's been boiling slowly, and it's about ready to blow, although no one's really sure what the trigger will be in RP. Savalion? Well, if you've been keeping up with the RP, most of you will know what the old mortician is at the moment. Cough, Italia, cough. How likely is it for a lowborn to find a place in higher court? Although lower-born people are less likely to hold such positions of power, they can easily work their way up to the top. For example, Galahad's own father, I'm going to butcher this name, Lepadius, only had a tenacious claim to the Erdian throne, and it was only through his marriage to Seraphina, an heiress from an exalted noble family, that he cemented his rule. Another character to look at is Matthias Esquire. He was born the son of a sinful union between Lysander and some unnamed prostitute, yet you gotta look at where he is right now, although some might point out of his noble blood and connections, but he still serves as a pretty valid example of someone's born of low blood. Has the Erdian palace ever been stormed in a riot? While the deep history of Erdia is still being compiled together, I can't say for certain if a riot has ever taken hold of Olessia Castle. Perhaps it's weathered one or two. Although, given this is Erdia we're talking about, I wouldn't be surprised if it had its fair share of riots. Will the Carojuians ever expand their territory into the south? For the tribes of the northern regions, it's hard to say for certain. They aren't truly unified in some senses, they just share a common culture between each other. And there hasn't been much of a reason for them to expand southward. But should all the tribes ever come under the same banner of one, it's likely they could muster quite the force to be reckoned with. Do any high-ranking Savalion officers still live today? According to the rumors from Salonese survivors, many officials of the former government were within the capital at the time of the Doom. Mostly rumors really, but if any officials did manage to make it out, or they were outside the nation during that time, it's likely they fled elsewhere and are still in hiding. Are there any other continents besides Olessia? And if so, what are their names? Indeed, there are two other large landmasses, one that being of Leon, where Lord Harvest hails from, and is said to be very far to the west across the sea. The second is the Phaean jungles, which is roughly southwest from the shores of Savalion itself. Are there any nomadic tribes left in Italia? There are indeed still some nomads roaming the parts of Italia, many of them serving as natural merchants and guides for caravans along the much harder routes within the desert regions. However, they're mostly unrecognized and unsubsidized by the government and live self-sufficient, rather hard lifestyles. Who is the biggest Chad in Olessia? I would have to say either High Chief Eric or Prince Medahaz. They're both pretty well-rounded guys, so as long as you're not on the receiving end of their axe or sword. What is the mortician's favorite food? The Lord Morty enjoys a fine meal of freshly slain souls with a side of tortured victims and just a pinch of children's souls. Oh wait, we're talking about real food? Well, this got dark. Okay, notes. Okay, apparently he seems, he's a whole chicken kind of dude. With or without feathers, the mad lad. Is Sethus actually a bastard like his father? Many would say that the young prince is the near opposite of his father, or at least he works to be totally different from the man completely. Given the lack of love between father and son, it's clear Cethric aims to be his own sort of man. But how far will this apple fall from the tree is another thing to ask. Can you turn if you are bitten by an undead? I'm pretty sure if you die around the undead, you're likely coming back as one. So, who wants to do a test for science? Anybody? How many lovers does Isadora have? The only known named lover of the queen is Lysander Esquith, although if you read his backstory at all by any chance, you'll see how that relationship went down for the two of them. And not good in his case. Why must Galahad be such an insufferable fool? Let's see. Inbreeding, stick up his butt, kingly ego, salty man-child, and that list could go on, and you probably wouldn't get a real proper answer for it. Also, do y'all forget who plays the bastard? How long would it take for someone to travel the entire continent of Olessia? Okay, let me get this map out here. Well, time to pull out some BS for this one. Okay, definitely Karen is easily the most wilderness, so it would certainly be a bitch to get around on foot. Think maybe like Russia and not the European half. Cold-ass Siberia instead. Erdian, maybe a few months to a year, depending on how long you stay in each of the towns, regions, etc. I would liken it in this case to France a little bit. They definitely have a lot better roads in some cases. Athalia, I'm pretty sure you don't want to get stuck anywhere out in the middle central desert region just because nomads and giant scorpions, they ain't all that fun. Let's just say that much. Stick to the main roads, and I think maybe a few months at best. Okay, Savalion. Yeah, before its undeadness, roughly half a year, they've had a lot of jungles and mountain regions, so definitely a little harder, probably easier to travel along the coastline. With the undead, you're basically offering yourself at that point to them, so have fun with that. If all the notable figures of Olessia were YouTubers, what content would they produce? Oh boy, well, let's just see looking at a few of them because I refuse to do the entire list, because I ain't got no time for that. Let's see, Eleonora would for sure be the type to have a blog solely about her vain self, showing off expensive bags, shoes, the whole works. Eric strikes me as the type that would be more outdoorsy in his videos, going on hikes, very nature-based, maybe with some wild animal encounters. Galahad, ooh, yeah. He's likely to be one of those foul-mouthed influencers or one that tries to be somebody. Also, he's totally a rage quitter. Lysander, oh, he has that kind of Shakespearean vibe, I think, being a dramatic actor of sorts. Hell, his whole life would make one hell of a great play, if it isn't already one. Get on top of that.